To teach the basics of drawing, there are several drawing styles I would introduce. I would introduce still life drawing, figure drawing, and cartoon or manga drawing. Today I would like to teach still life drawing. The first thing to do is to set up the still life and a light source. You can include three-dimensional shapes, fruit, or ceramic plates. As for drawing medium, you can use pencil or charcoal. Still life can be drawn or painted. For setup, you can use a mix of objects, but using three-dimensional objects provides good practice to sketch those shapes. Fruit provides interesting organic shapes to sketch. The light source can be natural or artificial. The light source is important because it shows which parts are highlighted and which parts to shade in the drawing. Here are a few examples of the still life setup that you can use or set up. You can use daylight or artificial light. You can choose your own placement and position of these objects. The second step is to set up the drawing with the right proportions and only use contour line. Contour line means merely the outline of your drawing and no shading in or anything else. To start the drawing, use your pencil to measure how large the shapes are. Use the back end of your pen or pencil and looking at your drawing, make a mark with your finger to measure the length of the ceramic cup. Then move it to the cone and look at the proportion of the height. So the cone looks like it's longer than the cup. It looks like the cup's height is around 2/3 the height of the cone. Use slight lines to mark the height and width of the object or objects. You also need to pay attention to the negative spaces and the spaces between the shapes in the drawing. You need to account for those negative spaces. Here we have the cylinder. The cup is around 4/5 of the cylinder. Don't forget to make sure you draw the ellipse that makes up the top of the cylinder. Lastly, we have our sphere. The first step is to get these proportions correct so that the objects are the right size with respect to the other objects. Here you can see the cone is much lower than the sphere, so you have to account for that too. You can use your eraser to redraw these shapes for where they should be. Once we have the outlines of our shapes, it is time to shade them in. Look for where the light source is to see where are the highlights and where are the shadows. In my photograph here, the light source is coming from the left side. Actually, there are many ways to shade in a drawing. You can use hatching, cross-hatching, stippling, or simply shading in with all strokes in one direction, varying the pressure of the pencil. Don't forget that there is a darkest portion of the cylinder around the middle right, and then lighter portions on each side of the darkest portion. As for the portion on the right of the darkest, this is called reflected light. I really like this step of shading things in because you can continue to add value to the darkest areas of the drawing, and you can show a range in value in your drawing. That's it. Start off by making sure your proportions and placement of objects are correct. After making the contour drawings, shade it in. I recommend also experimenting with charcoal, pastels, or other mediums to portray still life. Here is some more footage of me shading in my drawing. I like to work on all areas of the drawing at the same time, a little in each spot.